Yo, it's Steam Next Fest, so that means there are a whole hell of a lot of demos, and I still have a backlog, so let's talk about it. We're going to start off with Total Chaos. This was originally a Doom 2 mod that they are building out into its own game, and it's pretty cool. If you like first-person horror games, it might be one worth checking out. It has kind of a neat little crafting system, a inventory management whole sort of thing. And it does a thing I like where at some point I had to take pills to go crazy or something. I can't remember what exactly they were. It's been a bit now. And after taking a bunch of the pills and walking around for a little bit, the environment started changing because I guess my character was insane or something. I'm not really sure what was going on, but I thought that was pretty neat. I really like when games do the thing where you turn your back to something and then the environment changes, so when you turn around, it's completely different now. That was awesome. There's a few scares in the demo here that were pretty decent, I would guess, but overall it seems like just one of those games where it's more atmosphere than really crazy scary or anything like that. There were a few parts where you just get chased down a corridor, and those are kind of lame, but overall, I enjoyed my time with it, and this might be worth checking out if you like horror stuff, especially first-person horror stuff. Next up was a cool looking game called Eclipsium. This has a very, very pixelated, like old school PC or PlayStation 1 style graphics, really dithered, kind of hard to see in some spots. This is a first person walking sim. Sounds a little like derogatory, but kind of a walking sim with puzzles or whatever. Maybe like a Myst like or something like that, where you're in this weird dreamlike world and you're doing puzzles and kind of exploring around. I can't tell if it's supposed to be like scary or horror because I didn't really feel any part of it was scary. It was just kind of cool looking. It ends in an area that seems like it would probably be pretty cool. And overall, I think I just like the first person, like exploration, dungeon delving sort of thing with this style. I also think it's kind of cool that when you die or mess something up or whatever, like I fell into a pit at some point, and the way you respawn is that you actually like wake up in your bed again, and then when you leave your door, the game checkpoints at random spots. Not random, set checkpoints. When you leave the door to your bedroom, you're back at where that checkpoint is, and it just kind of lends to this whole cool dreamscape sort of thing that they're going for. This seems like it would be worth checking out. It also seems like it might be one of those games that's like 2 hours long or something like that. Apparently it's made by a very small team, so yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested to see how it turns out when it's all done. Alright, following that is something that is just completely different, and we are looking at Ratatan here. Ratatan is the spiritual successor to Patapon. It seems like it's doing some cool stuff, especially if you like Patapon. This would be one to check out. It is a rhythm musical based sort of side-scrolling, almost RTS, like a strategy game. But what they're doing here is that it is a roguelite, and I know, I keep crapping a little bit on roguelites and roguelikes, but in this case, I think it works out pretty good. It's a little difficult to get the hang of how to play this thing because it does rely on you actually having a decent loadout and kind of knowing when to pull back your little group and when to just kind of go buck wild and whatnot. There are some strategies. There's like a jump mechanic so that when you know an enemy, for example, like a boss, has a giant fire breath or something like that, you can jump as he's charging it up, and then he'll miss the attack completely on your party, and you can continue. Just stuff like that. So there is a learning curve, I will say, which is kind of interesting because if you look at it, it looks like it would be easy or childlike, but there is a lot of depth and strategy in here. There seems to be a whole system with weapons and leveling weapons up and even crafting legendary weapons and all that sort of thing. So if you like all those kind of roguelike mechanics, they're all in here. And you're going through a bunch of stages. It seems like it's multiplayer as well. There's different loadouts for your Ratatans that you can have. You can have a different leader, different perks and abilities and all that sort of stuff. And more than anything, it's just a really, really charming, fun little time. This seems like the type of thing that if you had a Steam Deck or something like that, this on Switch would be really good traveling, a really good travel game. probably why Patapon was on PSP. But if you are a fan of Patapon, this is probably something that should be on your radar. You should check this out, for sure. If you watch me running down some of the trailers I found interesting from the Horror Game Awards Summer Showcase, you'll probably recognize this one. This is Silly Polly Beast. In that, I was saying how I thought the art style was really cool. When I found out that there was a demo for it, I definitely needed to check it out and see what it was like. I thought it would be a more third-person action game, and what it actually is a twin-stick shooter type game. And it's really, really cool, actually. So you have a melee attack, which is your skateboard, and you can also ride on your skateboard as well. You have a revolver that's magic that you can refill ammo at certain spots. And in the demo, you get a shotgun. I'm wondering if you get other guns in the main game, probably. And it's just all about clearing rooms of weird, like, creatures and zombie things and whatnot, and progressing through. There's a cool mechanic that they use where you do a ritual to gain wings. And you can't really fly, so what the wings do is that they just suspend you in the air, so you have to use your gun to move around using the momentum from firing your gun in the opposite direction. And they do a whole like puzzle in the demo based on that. I really want to see what else they do here, because I think this is quite interesting. There's a little bit of story going on in the demo. You are trying to find your sister. You are Polly, you are trying to find your sister. And you'd make a deal with the devil sort of thing, which is why you get your horns that you see in the trailer. And yeah, it's just pretty cool. I like twin stick shooter stuff, especially when they do a story, so this is one I will be checking out day one. And now, last but not least, this might be one of my favorite demos I've played so far out of all of them. Even though I was a little miffed that the Summer Games Fest Devolver Digital was all about one game and it was only about 10 minutes long. Ball Pit is just a incredibly fun time. If you played Arkanoid or Brick Breaker or any of that sort of thing, it's that addicting gameplay mixed in with roguelike elements, so you get different balls that can do different things and you can upgrade what your balls do. It's going to sound really weird for a second, but hang in there with me. I'm going to talk about my balls a lot here. You can get a bunch of different kinds of balls that do different things, and at first it's pretty easy, but then more and more things start coming at you, and you realize you need to kind of think a little bit of how you can do the most damage quickly. I found one of my favorite ways was using lasers. One of the upgrades is laser ball, and anytime this ball hits an enemy, if its laser is vertical, it'll do a vertical laser across all enemies in a row, or in a column rather. So stuff like that helps a lot, and there's a fusion mechanic where you can fuse different sorts of perks that balls have into one, like super ball, where this ball will now have, let's say, like, anytime it hits an enemy, it has a chance to freeze them, and also it does damage or whatever. And the reason why you would want that is because you only have so many spots for perks, so this kind of frees up another one so you could get another perk or whatever and fuse it into something else. There is an evolution type mechanic where if you level up something enough and fuse it, you can fuse different balls together to create like an evolved form. So like, I can't remember what I did. I think it's maybe the iron ball and the fire ball can evolve to be a magma ball, which will do just like a puddle of fire when it hits certain things or whatever, and anything that crosses it will take damage. Just stuff like that. Like a lot of really cool little combinations. There's this almost base building type, like really light base building thing in between you going out and doing the brick breaker stuff, which is how you get items so that you can get new characters and new perks and all that sort of thing. This is definitely one of those games that I lost almost 2 hours playing the demo of, and I will lose a lot of my life playing when it comes out. Perfect podcast game, perfect stream watching game, all of that sort of stuff. I definitely think this is one to watch out for. This might be like a game of the year contender as well. It was super addictive, super fun. I'm not a fan of Balatro, even though I tried to get into it. I never understood what people saw in that game, but I see it in this, and I get it. I get why y'all like that game now, if it was anything like this. Yeah, ball pit. Holy crap. What an amazing demo. Alright, that should do it for another 5. This is me finally catching up. I think the next 5 that I have in the bank ready to go here were more recent, as in within the last week rather than like 2 weeks ago. So yeah, there's a whole lot of demos coming. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.